Okay, so let's do this exercise to feel our body. It's like another sense, and it's called the felt sense. And this one I learned from my dear, dear teacher, Chloe Wordsworth. And it's kinesiology, it's used all over the world. But I learned it from her, and I want to give her that recognition. So, the way you do this is you first close your eyes. The closing of the eyes is important because it makes your attention go within. When you keep your eyes open, you are seeing the world, and the world is it takes your attention. It's an attention seeker. So if you close your eyes, you can put your attention inside yourself. So that's the first step. You close your eyes, you breathe, and you find your center of gravity. If you have shoes, take them off. This is best done with your feet on the ground because that's your true center of gravity. You can even put your feet slightly apart, like to the width of your hips, and really find your center of gravity. And then, when you're relaxed and ready, ask your body to give you a yes response and see what it does. The movement has to come from inside. Mine tends to go forward. I will do this on the side so you can see the movement. So I find my center of gravity and I ask my body for a yes response. And I let my body move of its own accord. Okay, that's a yes response. And now I'm going to ask it for a no response. I find my center of gravity and I ask my body for a no response. Just feel how your body moves with the no. And mine goes backward with no. So now you have a very basic yes and no response. Do this until you get a clear response. And now you can start asking your body things. There are things we know already that are good for us, but we don't know if they're good always. So for example, grabbing your hand, something that you eat very often, I don't know, whatever you like, and just put it in your hand and ask your body if this food is the best for me. And just watch your response. You can even think about the food, but let's do it physically first. Grab it in your hand. Imagine that I have an apple in my hand. You can have the actual apple. And then ask your body, is this apple the best for me right now? And watch for your response. Okay, that's interesting. My body with the image of the apple went backwards. So right now the apple is not the best for me. And you can do this with very simple things. I want you to start practicing asking your body what's best for it at this time. And there are things we have to do. So I'm going to teach you a way if the answer is no, like I just imagine the apple and my body goes backward and says I don't want the apple. I can either avoid the apple, which would be easy, but if it's the only thing I have to eat and I'm really hungry and I really want to eat that apple because I need the fuel and I'm hungry, then I can do things to change my response. So I'm going to imagine this apple in my hand. You can do it physically with the actual apple or whatever it said no to. And start thinking of all the good things you know about apples. You know that they have vitamins and that they're natural food and that they have a lot of good building blocks for your body. And start to feel how your response starts to change when you start thinking of all the good things this can give you, until your your body says yes. And then if you eat that apple, it's going to actually be good for you. So I want you to start practicing this felt sense and asking it for things. If they're good for you, if they're not good for you, if they're good for you now, if they're good for you later, and just start tapping into the wisdom of your own body, because this is the very first step. If we don't have the awareness and the antenna for for what's good for us in the body, imagine if we can go higher. This is very basic stuff. And also, for example, you can do it with things you do, like watching the news today is the best for me, and just watch what my body says. Might say yes, mine just said yes, so I can watch the news, or it can say no, and if it says no, you can avoid the news today because it's going to stress you out, and your body knows this. A series. I enjoy series of supernatural things and even terror and things. And sometimes my body says, no, do not watch that today. And when I do it, I usually get nightmares and can't sleep and whatever, because I'm not in the mood today. So you can't really force your body. And even if it's something good for you that you know, like the apple, everybody knows an apple is good, but sometimes it's not the right time for your body to have an apple. So not only start feeling it, but start paying attention to what happens if you start doing what your body tells you. And I recently have a story. I've already done this video in Spanish for my other channel, and a woman called me up and said, I had never thought that cheese was bad for me because I love cheese. And I asked this question with the cheese in my hand, and my body said, no. And I stopped eating cheese, and I'm feeling so much better. I used to have headaches, and I don't have headaches anymore. And apparently her body was not taking good with cheese. Not with all lactose. She can drink milk, fine. She got the glass of milk and milk was fine. But cheese, and that type of cheese, was not good for her body. And when she stopped doing that, she started feeling much better. So it is very important that you start feeling the effects of listening to your own body and your own wisdom, inner wisdom of the body. This is very biological, and actually there's experiments that have been done that prove this. If you get a petri dish and you get cells, I think they did this with yeast cells, and then you put poison on one side of the petri dish, and the cells actually will run away from the poison. They will shrink into the other corner. So these cells know, your cells know what's good for them. And if you put the same cells in another petri dish and you put something that's food for them, they will start growing towards the food. You can see it in plants. They grow towards the sun. They never grow towards the dark. So it's very obvious in nature, but we don't use that anymore because we're so much in our heads. So this is the first exercise to start coming down from my heads into the body, into the wisdom of the body. So that's your homework, to feel different parts of your body and to start asking this question. Of course, the questions have to be yes and no. And this is not a diagnostic tool. Be very careful with that. If you ask your body whether you're sick or pregnant or whatever, what it's going to tell you is your resonance with having that or with being that. And it's not going to tell you the truth necessarily, the fact. This is not a factual checker. This is just to ask your inner wisdom what's good for you right now at this moment of the choices you have. So that's what I want you to use it for. Just ask it, is this the best for me right now? Do not use it as a diagnostic tool, and do not use it to ask of other people, like, I don't know, is my partner cheating in the business? And your body might say yes, because that's what you think that's happening. But it's not possibly the fact. It's just going to tell you what its perception is. But it's very useful if the perception of your body is that the apple is not good for you. It's not going to digest it well, like the woman and the cheese. It's not going to fall good. It's not going to be a good thing for you if your perception of that thing is not good. So felt sense for homework, do it, and do whatever your body tells you to. That's very important. That's what makes a response stronger all the time. Okay, see you in the next video.